Welcome to the Sprint to Profit podcast with Kirsty and Isaac. If you are an Amazon seller looking to grow your business with some of the latest tactics and strategies, along with some great guidance for your overall business, then you are in the right place. So pay attention and if needed, take notes. Let's get started.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sprint to Profit podcast. It's Kirsty and Isaac here. This podcast was developed by and for Amazon sellers to highlight the very best strategies on how to grow your Amazon business and to get valuable insight from sellers to illustrate the ups and downs of selling on this incredible platform.
So in this episode, we're going to be speaking with a friend and member of ours who is an Amazon seller herself, Cheryl Alker. And so, hey, Cheryl, how are you going?
I'm good, thanks, Kirsty. And you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. It looks nice and sunny over there, over in, whereabouts are you based again?
Florida.
In Florida. Wow.
It's never not sunny in Florida unless there's like a hurricane or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. But hey, is there anywhere, or something?
Well, also, clearly you're from somewhere else because I can detect the British tones in your voice. So maybe we can start by getting to know a little bit about you first, just so that, the people listening in, they can understand what your journey has been. And, feel free to go right back to where you were in sunny England and how you got to Florida and how you got into this cool Amazon game.
Originally, obviously English from Poole in Dorset, but moved to the Channel Islands, Jersey, when I was about 17. Stayed there. Then we came to Florida with our two children. Jack, he was 7. Hannah was 4. About sort of 15 years ago. And basically my background, sort of exercise, etc. Always been in, have my own studio in the UK, etc. And in Jersey. And then, so always had this sort of exercise background. And that's when I started doing DVDs because a lot of my clients in West Palm in Wellington, I didn't realize it was the winter equestrian capital of the world. I came here and people were saying, oh, what do you do? And I say stretch. And they said, stretch, I do flexibility work. I specialize in flexibility. And they say, oh, you stretch horses. And I went, can you? I didn't know. I didn't know you could. But I said, I'll give it a go, I guess. So I start, because they're very transient, they were coming in, literally, you get all these sort of snowbirds come in, and obviously we get thousands and thousands of horses come into this, little place at this time of year, the sort of winter time here. And then they all leave. And they were coming, to my classes, and I was seeing a lot of people privately, and they asked, I want to take away your program. So I sort of just did these DVDs. And then and that's kind of how it came about. It was just literally, and I literally did get somebody who used to just video horse people. I just went, oh, can you do me then? So he'd never done anything like that before. He just videoed these horses going around for them to sell. And suddenly I'm asking him to do an exercise DVD. So anyway. So that's
reminds me of Jim Carrey and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, when they're like, "Can you do this detective work for this human?" He's like, "I don't do humans." So, yeah.
I said, I'll stay still. I won't move as much as a horse. But anyway, so that's kind of how my first DVDs were done, and that was the reason. Then I was sort of always looking for something, because I was literally swapping hours for money all the time. And, I can, when I'm with clients, it was like an hour, and then I'd travel to another client. And over here, it wasn't like being in Jersey, where it's 9 miles by 5, it's 45 square mile island, where I could get to people very quickly. I might be an hour and a half in between clients. And so it was just like, this is ridiculous. I'm just, so really, how can I have some passive income through what I know? And that was when I just, I did ASM first. Is that right? Yeah, Amazing Selling Machine, yeah. And just literally threw the DVDs up, and that was it. Didn't know anything, just thought, well, I've got them, I'll put them there. And I think I put it up, and within a day, someone bought one. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, oh my God, someone's actually bought this DVD. So, that was how it kind of started. And I really, really just didn't bother, just let them tick along because I get them made in the US. And it was like, oh, I've run out now, I've got 20 left or whatever. I'll order some, and they came in, and they come in about 10 days. So it was really just very haphazard the way I went about it. And I really wasn't, because I was still doing all this one-to-one work. And it was probably about last year, 18 months ago, that I decided that, I was getting a bit long in the tooth, going to stretch people. I was hobbling in, It was as stiff as an old board, and I just thought, this is sad, Cheryl, you're trying to be this, and so I just thought I'd really kind of, I thought, well, if I can sell those stupid DVDs, then maybe I can, putting my work down, but
Yeah. I was going to, yeah.
Some people, and so I just thought I'd look at it a bit more seriously.
Oh, fantastic. So basically you went, it's very interesting the way you got into it. We meet a lot of people like that. It's a case of, okay, you're doing something over here, and then you're thinking, well, how can I actually make this bigger? And so it seems like from what you were saying that Amazon felt like, oh yeah, that would be a great channel because a lot of people are selling on there. And actually it's a good way to start. You started with something that you'd already had, rather than, putting a lot of capital in there just to test to make sure that, it wasn't a scam kind of thing. You can actually sell things. Started selling your own work, which is great. But yeah, if you're doing something that has you in it, then you have to put more thought and effort around it, right, to make it a bigger business. And from what you said, it sounds like you were like, yeah, I think I just need to concentrate on stretching myself than trying to help stretch others. So, what else can I sell to make this maybe a bigger business, and actually put some focus around it? So when you started that, like, what kind of hurdles did you face when you first started, when you thought, I'm going to make the switch from selling my DVDs to what kind of products you were going to sell on Amazon? What kind of hurdles did you face, and how did you start to overcome them?
I think, it was basically then, because I was going through, the sort of ASM training, it was then just, doing all that research and just coming up with sort of random products. And in my heart, I'd sort of wanted to keep in my wheelhouse, because I knew that people would ask questions, and, if you get a bad review or somebody, says something, or, they're asking something, you really kind of need to know about your product. So I did sort of kind of have an instinct to do that, but then literally when I started to sort of say, I'm really going to concentrate on this, I just started to look for products. And then I was thinking about my kids, trying to get them involved, because I really feel, for them, they're living in such a different world to what I was, or am, from when I was their age, and we totally believe or everything online, that's what we're teaching them. And so I really wanted them to see, I can do this, because it was something that, I don't know, it's very easy to do from one point of view. You can just find something, you don't have to have, I didn't think you had to have a major amount of money to do it. So we kind of just chose a product for them that was kind of interesting to them, and one for me. And then I just thought, oh, I like my dogs as well, so let's add something in for them. I ended up with like 5 or 6 products that I decided to buy all at once, really. And then the shit hit the fan, basically. And then, thank God, I met you. I was already sinking at that stage. I think I was a bit like a deer caught in the headlights. I was just like, now what am I going to do? Because then I came to your training and realized, oh my goodness, this is a mess, a big mess,
Yeah. So now that you kind of saw that you were in this position where, and Kirsty, we've talked about this before. We've done this both ourselves, where it's like, okay, I think I can just do all these products at once, because otherwise, how am I going to be able to hit my goals, right? I've got to launch multiple products, but launching them at one time is probably not preferred for most people. So when we started talking to you, we were like, hey, this isn't what we'd recommend. You're like, yeah, it's kind of too late now, but let's try to make the best of it. Kind of what was the mindset that you have now versus, 4 or 5 months ago? And what kind of things have you changed to like make this actually work for you in the end?
I would definitely give everybody advice. Do not do that. It doesn't matter. I think even if you think you can, afford it, if you set up all your finances and everything, I think you really just need to concentrate on one at a time. And because, some, you think you've done all the work, you've done everything, and just for some reason, it's not as the seller that you thought it was going to be. The one that I really thought was just going to really work didn't, as well as the ones that I was just like, I'm not really I didn't think that was going to work, and it did,
Yes.
And so I think that would be, so I think you just really need to focus in on the numbers. And that was one of the things that I had not even, as I say, I just threw things up and just threw caution to the wind. And also I didn't realize how much was needed to properly launch something,
Yeah.
So I definitely say just do one. What I did is, after coming to Las Vegas and meeting and, sitting down with you guys and then obviously doing the training with you, realized, and the brand would have been the better way to go with what I know. But as I say, I was in it. So I just literally tried to focus in on one at a time. And that has kind of worked, by just really saying, okay, I had to do all their bullet points and the photos. It was a mess. I really hadn't had a clue. And yet I'd done another type of training, but this was like, I was just, everything was a mess. The work that I needed to do and then try and multiply that by 5 or 6 products was just mind blowing,
Yeah. And the one thing you mentioned there was you talked about knowing what metrics and what numbers to look at and stuff. So maybe you can kind of tell people, before you're selecting products, what are you kind of looking at now versus before when you actually picked all 5 products at once?
I'm now looking at, obviously the ROI, which I never had considered, so I'm looking at that because that, was quite eye-opening to me, the difference of looking at that, as far as when you're reordering inventory and how much you're going to make. And then, so you can look at the actual individual product and think, oh, that's enough margin, I'm getting my 30 or 35%. But then if you look at then how much that might cost when you've got to reorder, you might not have those sort of funds. So that really helped me. That was a big thing that now I, try and concentrate on. And it was surprising, the ones that I thought, oh, that's not good. It actually was, when I looked at the ROI, that gave me a much bigger understanding of which ones I should focus in on. Because that's, when you're trying to replenish stock, when you're still holding inventory, because you have to, that makes a big difference.
I think it's interesting what you're saying there as well, because sometimes we feel like we're onto a great idea, but if the numbers don't work, then it's not a great idea. It looks great on paper, visually it looks great, but actually if it's not going to hit the goal that you want, then it's not a great idea, right? So, and we've all done that. We've all thought something would be awesome, but when we've actually sat down, gone through all the numbers properly, and I think it's an interesting point you made about the inventory as well, and understanding that your first investment, it might actually be 2 orders of that before you actually start to come back and be able to reinvest back in that product. So understanding how much money you're going to need for the first order and then the second order is probably what you need to understand, isn't it? Before you actually launch the product as well, so you know how much investment you've got. So with your 5 that you wanted to do, you would have needed to double that, so 10 times the cash. Not 10 times the cash, so double the cash, but it's almost like doing 10 products, really.
Yeah. No, it was just a mess. Still probably not much.
At least you're on the right path now, though, Cheryl. At least you're on the right path. So if you, knowing what you know now,
somebody, I say to people now, do training, go with you guys or whatever, but go as before you start, because least then you're given all the right tools, and you can take out a lot of those mistakes that you don't even think. I mean, I had them all shipped to me as well. Can you imagine? Boxes down well everywhere. Then I had to get a warehouse to put them in, so that's more expense. And then I had to redo them and send them off to Amazon. I mean, the money was just stupid. I didn't even, as I say, I'd done another type of training which told me to have them shipped to me, and so that I could check them. And so that's what I did, checked them all. But then I had to put them in boxes, and I had to buy boxes because some of them were bashed up so much. Oh, goodness
me. And you were trying to get out of being tired from stretching people and doing all that manual labor.
I know. And there I was, a packing agent. But like, is this what it's all about? They were putting all these things into boxes. They said at least they can add factory worker to their resume now, because had like a conveyor belt. Even my son's friends used to come round and help us. But yeah, so if you want to know about mistakes, I'm the person to come to.
Well,
hey, picking.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're still standing and you're still moving through, and you're starting to see some success now, right? From having gone through that process and understanding, what to take off your plate and what actually is to simplify down basically what you actually need to do to make the business successful. So what do you think that, in terms of you as Cheryl, what do you think your unique skill is that has helped you become successful, right? So you've had great training, you've worked with coaches, which is awesome, but there's something within you that's pushing you forward. And I'm sure people would love to understand that a little bit more as well. So what do you think that is for you?
I think the worst thing for me was that when I got a bad review, I took it so personally, and I felt sick, and it was awful. So I've got a little bit more thick-skinned about that, and just, realized I can't please everybody all the time. And, and I constantly looked at everybody else as, oh, they've got a bad review, thank goodness, But yeah, I just think it's because I think I've started to decipher what works and what doesn't now, so I can, the things that I thought would, I think I look at it now and say, what do people just go on Amazon for and don't really, they don't think about it too much, if you know what I mean. That was kind of where I feel now, because the most successful of my products are actually the ones that everybody, kind of wants, but it doesn't matter. They don't have to go into a shop and feel it and, really have a good look at it. It's just something, that I can order on Amazon. So I think that's sort of that's the way I'm kind of looking at things a little bit now, is that what's the things that mostly, what would I just go on Amazon and buy and not worry too much about? Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't have to see it, feel it, smell it, or anything like that. So that's kind of what I try and do, is what do I buy on Amazon? What am I looking for when I purchase? Because I use Amazon a lot now. So all my purchases, in fact, I just constantly go on Amazon. So I try and look at what I'm looking for. Am I impressed by packaging? Am I, does that feel a better product to me if it comes nicely packaged, or am I not worried about that? So I try and apply, I think that's all I can do, is apply what I feel personally for myself.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people would actually benefit from thinking of themselves as customers, not just sellers, and then understanding that you want to buy the stuff that you are going to sell as well. And then thinking of it as, if I want to buy this product, how's it going to look to me? How am I going to talk to myself and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I know. It was actually, because it was funny. It was one of the products, and I didn't like the packaging. I thought it was really bad. I was very disappointed in it. And I just thought, I can't send that out, because immediately they get that, they're just going to go, that's cheap. And even though, without even opening it, so I actually got these really cute, little bags made and what have you, put the logo on and what have you. And then my daughter actually said, well, that's just adding extra expense. Because I said, we may as well, I've ordered actually more. Let's put this other one in that as well. And she said, well, the packaging on that's okay. I said, but Hannah, if that one came to you and that one came, which one would you, prefer? She went, that one. I went, so it's kind of it was worth the extra little bit of expense on it, And she said, you're right, that would come across to me as a much better quality product, and I would actually enjoy receiving that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you're thinking about the customer in terms of what would they want to buy once they're on Amazon. It's almost like, from what you're saying, it's almost like a no-brainer offer. So that's the kind of mentality that you're going into product selection with. But then what you're trying to do is offer better quality so that once they get that product, that they're actually going to review the product and give you a great review, because that's how you're going to stand out versus all the other sea of different products that are on Amazon that are no-brainer offers, right?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. One thing I would kind of like to hear from your perspective, because obviously you've started a business and now you kind of got to the phase where you're also then growing and scaling it. I guess it's kind of a two-part question. What would you say to somebody who's thinking about starting selling on Amazon now? And what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's actually currently in an Amazon business? If you could give them any one piece of advice, maybe that you would see as something that maybe not so many current Amazon sellers know about right now or don't think about as much.
I think, the listing itself, making it look as attractive as possible, those bullet points and everything, I think that really stands out. I think that's really important. The wording you use, trying to really, again, put yourself in the buyer's shoes of, is that talking to them, as a person who wants to buy that product. So I think you really have to think, that's important. I think very important, obviously, because your listing is your advert. My husband actually said to me, so what, type of advertising? I said, well, your listing is your advert. So you have to make it, if anybody else putting an advert on something, they can put all these images in and what have you and change it around, but that's your advert, so you've got to almost as well try and look at it was, if I saw that on a billboard or whatever, or in a magazine, would I buy that? So I think that helps you sort of make the listing try and look as attractive as possible, with, the colors you use and, the bullet points, maybe emojis or whatever, or not too wordy, as I say, just try and think of it as, well, that is, when you're doing your sponsored ads, that's your advert, it's not something else, it's your listing. So I think trying to look at it as, how can I make that as attractive as possible, where I could stand out, against the competition.
Yeah. And as far as for people who are thinking about starting this journey, you got any advice or maybe something that they should check into or something before they start going off and throwing $50,000 down the drain?
With you, proper training. I mean, and I'm not, I haven't put my hand behind my back, but this isn't. I mean, it was just mind blowing to me working, especially when I came to Las Vegas in that setting. Was just, I'd never been to anything. We obviously did the training, online, but to actually be in a room and have you sat next to me or rolling eyes and go, but having Kirsty sat next to the computer, having Amanda that, and having it and asking questions, and you actually sitting down with me. I've never seen that before. I don't think. My husband goes on things all the time, and that's I've never. I would say to people, go to the live event at YouTube, just to have somebody sat there with you. As I say, I was at one point, I just felt hopeless and I was ready for tears. And then I just remember you sitting next to me, Kirsty, and it was just like your mother, you weren't my mum, I cried the other way around, but it was just that comfort of knowing, it was like dum, 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 and that was just, made all the difference to me personally, really did. I came back and thought, I can do this, because I had a real plan, and that was the most important thing to me. So as I say, it's if you can try and go to something like that, try and go to that live event.
Awesome work. Yeah, because I think the thing I picked up there was that it's all right starting something, isn't it? But it's when you get to key decision points that's when we feel, and we've been there as well, when we've worked with a lot of people, that's the doubt starts to creep in a little bit. So just having someone there to be able to push you forward, and usually you're making the right decisions anyway. It's just more, trust yourself. If you don't trust yourself, then ask someone else who's been there and done it, versus someone like your grandma, right? Who doesn't really know what's going on. Yeah, just someone who's been there and done that can push you in the right direction. I think you will save a lot of people a lot of time and money, as you said.
In real time as well. It wasn't my products, it was other people's, and actually seeing that working. So whether you're a visual person or somebody who learns by seeing, but because you're dealing with real people, real products in real time, it was just that was, as I say, whether it was in my product or it was just watching everybody else, that was to me so worth it.
And so obviously, you've had some, crazy things that you've been trying to do in the business, but also you've had some ups as well. So can you give us an idea about how your business is going now and where you're projecting for this year? You don't have to reveal your sales or anything, but just more around how you're feeling about the business and how you're actually starting to move forward.
Okay, so I've learned a lot. I've sort of tested some things, because I had kind of 3 products within the same category, and so we just tried to put them all together in one listing, and that's really worked very well because they've all fed off each other. So that helped with sponsored ads because it was just going to one. As far as what I'll try and do now is. The thing that I thought was going to work, which was in like my wheelhouse, didn't. And so I'm not sure whether that's something I'm going to continue on with, going down that vein. But as far as where I was to where I am now, I think it's probably, gone up 5 or 6 times what I'm, turning over since that sort of time that we spent in October. So
brilliant.
That's not bad.
It went up. Yeah, I think it's about 6 times increased. Incredibly.
Fabulous. So we met in October, and then obviously we're in right now when we're recording this, we're just really early in March, like the 3rd of March. So 5 or 6 times your business in that time frame is pretty good. So you've knuckled down and got some stuff moving.
Yeah, and I'm just, at the moment, I'm still working on those products because obviously I'm, I'm not quite ready to sort of go into another one yet because I'm still trying to, home in on getting these all working before I do, So, and and the other thing I learned is like, just let go. If one's, you just, that was my biggest expectation. That one was going to be the one, and it's not, and that's okay because the others suddenly did, so that was good. And I'm just going to let it go. I'm not, and it's the great thing about it as well, though, with that one, because it's in my, what I do, I'm just bringing it into my Shopify store anyway. So, and I'll promote it in other ways. So I'm quite lucky from that point of view because I, do all the training as well. So I have, I think that's quite nice as well. If you've got your brand and you're going down a certain way, and then you have your own website as well, if something's not quite working on Amazon, that doesn't mean to say that it's not going to work from, because I'll just push it, coming from me. Do you know what I mean? Because I can voice to the product. So it wasn't quite right for Amazon, but it's, I have every confidence that I'll sell it, from me personally, if you know what I mean, because I'll just explain the benefits of it and, and be able to show people in a video and what have you, how to use it. So that's sort of, again, I think, to have that backup is really helpful.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't cue a little song and dance from Kirsty there when you kept saying, let it go.
Yeah, I usually break out into the Frozen, let it go.
So just I guess just final question here before you, Cheryl, was, has there been any kind of resources that you've seen, either, with the stuff that we've worked with you or maybe you found on your own or that you use in your business that maybe other people haven't done? Any sort of resources that have really helped you kind of move forward in your journey? You were mentioning you really have a plan now, and that's one of the biggest things for you. So maybe, if you don't mind, maybe talk about that, because a lot of people don't have plan in their business.
I think, one of the things that you had said as well was, outsource. If it's not your wheelhouse or whatever, or you're not good at something, or, you can only really spend so much time on so many things. And so I just decided because when we did the training, I met Tim and Daryl, and I really liked them, and I enjoyed their explanation of sponsored ads, but I still realized it wasn't my thing. So I've actually, I've outsourced that to them, and I'm really happy about that decision, because it takes so much worry of that away from me, so I just realized I don't want to be an expert in everything. Why would I understand it because I did the training, and, so I do understand it, but I just thought, I don't need to do it if it's not really that's what they do. So let them do it, and I'm really happy with everything that they've done. They understand it. And it's something, just takes a bit of a worry off of my shoulders about, I've got to, do that as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So outsourcing basically either the stuff that an expert can do better than you, or maybe some stuff that you can do, but it's probably not going to help you scale the business further.
Yeah.
By doing it yourself. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and I just want to point out that Tim and Daryl are actually some friends of ours, obviously, that we worked with in a live event. They run a company called Sponsored Profit. So Sponsored Profit, we'll put a link to that in the resources below this video. But that's very, it's awesome, because every time we speak with somebody who, I feel like everybody who comes to us is kind of almost in this either panic or like, I don't know if I should keep doing this business or quit this business. And, you'll get people who do quit the business. It's not going to be 100% success rate for anybody out there, but it's always great to see the inspiration. And as you said, the British bulldoggedness to like keep going and pushing forward and not just be like, well, it can't possibly work. It's got to work for some people, right? Otherwise, why would anybody be doing it? And it's just great to see, when people can kind of turn this around, make sense of it, get a plan. So, that's kind of a really great story. And that's one of the big reasons why we wanted to talk to you, obviously, Cheryl. So thank you for joining us. Thanks for sharing your insights and the information and all the quote unquote mistakes you've made, but you've also been able to turn them around in the end. So, again, thank you very much for taking the time to spend with us today. And for everybody who's listening, if you like what you heard today on the show, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, share our podcast with friends who might get value out of it as well. Also, if you're looking for some absolutely free training, head to www.goteamreal.com to see our Real Amazon Seller training there. We'll see you on the next show, and we wish you the best for you and your business. Bye for now.
Don't forget to subscribe, and if you would like to get more information about selling on Amazon, head to goteamreal.com for some absolutely free training.